Hello, and welcome back to Monifactory. Last episode, we got ourselves all set up here. We got all the good materials and everything. We started building a couple of machines to get started, which we're going to continue doing today. We have the coke oven, which is turning coal into coke and creosote oil. We built the primitive pump, which is generating water and is getting input into our steam boiler, which is burning fuel to produce steam. I actually turned this off right now because it just kind of starts wasting steam if it gets built up in the tank. So that's going to be the first problem that we take care of. I would like to build a wooden multi-block tank to hold all of that steam we're generating, so that way we can get like a passive buffer of steam getting built up instead of all of it going to waste. So I'll need to gather up some materials for this. It's going to take a lot of treated wood and lead. So I guess you can't turn steam boilers off with a soft mallet. That's what I was trying to do. But I guess it's just going to be running until we get this set up. We then need to craft a bunch of wood walls. We then also want 2 wooden tank valves and then the multi-block tank itself. And we can build this guy up. So somewhere away from our steam tank, we're going to build this up, similar to the coke oven. The only difference I forgot is that we probably want to build this a couple blocks up off the ground. One of the valves is going to be on the bottom facing outward, which I need a wrench to change, of course. The controller is going to go in the front, and then the other valve can go right on top. We then want to run some pipes from the top of this wooden tank all the way to the output of our steam machines. And with everything connected, we should see some steam start to go into this tank. Perfect. Now that can hold a lot more steam than this boiler. And make sure we always shutter all of our pipes. And there we go. Now we'll start getting a buffer of steam. When we want to pull it out, we're going to take it from the bottom valve here. So now we're ready to start making some of these steam machines. I am going to need a little bit more copper though first. So we're going to have to go on a little mining trip. Right, so I just got back from mining a whole bunch of coal and copper, so hopefully this will be enough to tide us over for a little bit. Now that we have some bronze, we can start making some of these steam machines. We're going to start with the forge hammer, which is going to allow us to turn our bronze into plates cheaper. Right now we have to craft these with a hammer, but with the forge hammer, we can input 3 ingots and get 2 plates in return, which will hopefully save us a lot of bronze in the future. Alright, there's that guy. So let's hook this up to our steam. So if we come down to the bottom of our wooden tank and have the steam output through here, we should be able to start hooking our machines up to this line. And then we can see that it's getting some steam in the machine up there, and we can start making some plates in here. And that is where we're going to be making our plates from now on, because that's going to save us an entire ingot every time we want to make plates. Now that we have plates easier, we have a couple of other steam machines to craft up. Oh, also, you have to be sure to set a output for the steam, because this has to vent all of its steam every time it crafts something. To save myself a whole bunch of crafting down the road, I'm just going to make all 3 of these machines at the same time. We're going to want the compressor, the macerator, and the alloy smelter. Welcome to the Steam Age. We want to space these machines out so that they have a chance to output their steam when they're finished. If it gets blocked off, they just won't work at all. Now that we have these set up, we're going to use our new steam machines to craft a new multi-block. This is going to be the primitive blast furnace, which is going to allow us to craft steel, which we'll need to progress into the new age. So to get started, we need 33 fire bricks. We have to do a little bit of a collection project. I'm hoping that we can find some bricks and terracotta in these lost cities. There is definitely plenty of terracotta here, and we're probably going to end up needing more than one blast furnace anyway. So it probably won't be a bad idea to get all of this terracotta now. Now I'm hoping somewhere there will be a building made out of bricks, because that would be very nice and save a lot of time. Although I can't say I'm seeing any. That's okay. We're going to toss our terracotta in the macerator, which is going to produce clay dust. We'll then also want to macerate some clay, not clay, these bricks. And this will get us brick dust. And then we can just use a couple of hoppers to sort of semi-automate this, so that once all this clay dust is finished, it goes out and those bricks go in. And this steam buffer is very nice to have right now, because this thing would definitely not be able to keep up with all of this. And once all of those are done, we can pick all of these up, and then we're going to craft them together into fire clay dust. And then we will throw all of this into the steam compressor to get compressed fire clay. And then one last step is to smelt it into fire bricks. It also probably wouldn't hurt to build another big tank to hold all of the creosote that we're making. We can also build a couple of coke oven hatches to automate the input and output of our coke oven. We do also have all of our fire bricks smelted up now, so we'll be able to build the coke oven, not the coke oven, blast furnace. Again, we want to make sure not to build it over any chunk boundaries. This one we're going to build as a nice tall coke oven with no middle, and it needs to be hollow on the top too. We'll put our controller in. In here we can start making some steel, and the best way to do this is going to be with a couple of blocks of wrought iron and a block of coke, and this is going to make the most amount of steel in the least amount of time. You can do it with just the normal wrought iron ingots, and you can even do it with just iron, but this is the fastest way to do it. So we'll let this run for a bit until it makes us some steel. So I've just built up another wooden tank to hold all of our creosote, and I did discover that you can put that valve on the side for the input, which would have been nice to know. The output does have to be on the bottom though, I know that. But that would have saved me a couple of bronze pipes. We also have just finished making our first few blocks of steel, which we can use to keep progressing into LV. So to actually make it to the LV tier, we need to craft our first electronic circuit first. And there are a lot of components to this that we have to manually craft at first. But once we unlock LV and some machines, we'll be able to craft these a lot easier. For now, we have some work to do. We're going to start by making a couple of alloys in the alloy smelter. First one is going to be red alloy, made with copper and redstone. The other alloy we're going to want is conductive iron, but you can't make this in an alloy smelter until you have the LV tier. So we'll need to make the dust and smelt it up. Once we have our alloys going, we're going to turn them into wires with the wire cutter. Next, we'll need to make a couple of molds from our steel, and then we're going to make 3 different ones. We need the block mold, the gear mold, and the rotor mold. The gear mold and the rotor we can't use until we actually unlock some LV machines, but this block mold we're going to use. We're going to use that to make some glass first. So it looks like in order to make rubber, we first need to go to the nether to get sulfur. So I went out and collected some materials to make this, and with one nether cake, we can pop this down and head to the nether. We can also start making new tools out of steel now that we have a whole bunch of it. And these are going to be stronger than the iron ones. I'm also going to switch over to rubber trees, because we're going to need a whole lot of rubber coming up. And you can find these trees randomly in the overworld. We can now use our casting mold, which we just made, to craft glass in the alloy smelter. And now I suppose we will need to head to the nether to pick up some sulfur. And it looks like we spawned right on top of one, which is perfect. Ta-da! Now that we have some sulfur, to start making rubber, we need to start by... I do not have the extractor. We need to start by making an extractor. One extractor later, and we can start taking the sticky resin, which we get from rubber trees, and extracting it into raw rubber pulp. Combining this with sulfur in the alloy smelter, we can make rubber ingots. Combining that rubber with a plate mold will get us some rubber sheets. And then we can put these on our red alloy cables. to insulate them, and we need this for the basic circuit. Now there are just a couple more components that we need to craft to make the electronic circuit, all of which have some nice tiny little crafting recipes. All of these components we just have to handcraft for now until we can unlock some better machines and recipes for them later on. And we should be able to craft our first LV circuit just like this. And there we go. We are ready to move on into the LV age. Of course, for some reason the quest book wants us to do steam dynamos and ender conduits, but we don't actually need all of that. Because we have steam production from Gregtech, we don't need to convert our RF energy from the steam dynamo. Since we already have this set up, we don't need all this, is what I'm trying to say. We can just start making some steam machines. And I guess I can finish those quests later on. But I think with that and our first circuit, I think I'm going to leave it there for today before we jump into the LV age. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.